In our news package tonight, South NLC demands 850,000 naira minimum wage. Akwa Ibom government said to partner China for entrepreneurship development. Imminent clampdown on palm oil adulterators as Trade Ministry monitors Akwa Ibom market. Finance Minister says 30 trillion naira ways and means overdraft by Buhari's administration fueling current inflation in Nigeria. Details of these and other stories in just a moment. Good evening and welcome to AKBC 45 News at 8. I am Blessing Isonwio. The Tripartite Committee on the National Minimum Wage has rounded off a one-day public hearing for the South-South Zone in Uyo. A cross-section of interest groups and organized labor, civil society organizations and manufacturers representatives from the private sector presented their views on the proposed minimum wage. Their views ranged from $2,000 which is equivalent to of about 3.2 million naira, as the highest, to 447,000 naira as the lowest proposal. New vistas have been opened for entrepreneurs in the state as Governor Umahian has opened discussions with the People's Republic of China towards securing trade privileges for Akwa Ibom people. The news was the outcome of interactions between Governor Umahian and the Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, Kui Janchun, in Abuja. Governor Umahian, while briefing government house reporters at the Victor Atta International Airport, Uyo, upon his return to the state, said discussions with the Chinese ambassador were strategic for the accomplishment of the goals of the Arise agenda. The governor described the meeting with the Chinese ambassador to Nigeria as a step in the right direction, explaining that it was important to initiate such interactions in view of the administration's intentions to collaborate with China in areas such as agriculture, industry, and tourism. He also mentioned a proposed trade trip with some young Akwa Ibom entrepreneurs to China. To the governor, such collaborations will propel Akwa Ibom youth to better their chances in entrepreneurship as well as expose them internationally. The state's government has warned that it will clamp down on people involved in illicit practices in palm produce business in order to sanitize the sector. Officials of the Ministry of Trade and Investments handed down the warning when they visited markets in Ibisikwa Sultan local government area as part of a statewide effort to rid the palm produce business of irregularities.
The team, led by the State Director of Produce, Mr. Yuta Umoren, has been on a joint statewide sensitization tour with the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Akwa Ibom State Command. At Akanaudo Market, Mr. Umoren urged the produce dealers to always consider the negative impacts of adulterated palm produce, warning that defaulters will henceforth face the law. The produce director advised the market authorities and dealers of palm produce to work in consonance with the vision of Governor Umoeno in the area of agriculture, as palm produce is one of the exportable products of the state, and that it is in line with the One State, One Product project of the federal government.
So what we are focusing on is to develop export sector in palm produce sector so that we can have a good export ratio in the state so that our GDP can be effective.
Mr. Morin said government is ready to address noticeable gaps that mitigate palm produce production process, directing dealers to ensure they are duly registered and pay levies to appropriate authorities.
We don't want illegal operators to come into the state and operate without the ministry knowing them. So that is why I have come to meet with the executive of this Nodo market. They are not only coming to Nodo, we have been to Ibionibom, Esiaonam, Pini. We are going to Kanafun. We are going to Mbo.
The chairman, Palm Kernel Association, Ibesiko Asutan Local Government, Mr. Eno Clement Umana, and his counterpart from Palm Oil Association, Mr. Oku Johnson, both commended government for deeming it fit to tour markets in the state to ensure production is of high standard, promising to work with government to put an end to the illegal acts in the sector. One of the palm produce dealers in Ibesikpo local government, Mr. Koko Itepan, applauded government's effort and promised to abide by the directives of government.
Well, of course, we try a lot to make sure the adulteration of oil as per the act. So now I can move Director, I'm happy. For long, anyone who says struggle, them adulteration and rest of the thing. Maybe it will to me because everywhere you go now in the state, I agree, even outside the state, Kano, Lagos, I agree, don't ring it, you know, they put oil. Great, you know, very standard. Aside from that, believe that Gekben are not just coming and going. We should have people stationed in certain markets or certain places.
Mercy Kiri, AKBC News.
Meanwhile, the consequences of adulteration in the palm produce business have been outlined to include adverse effects on the health of consumers of the product, as well as bad reputation on the business. These were brought to the fore when officials of the Ministry of Trade and Investment visited Nodo Market in Ibisukwa Sultan local government area on a sensitization tour. Again, Masekara reports.
Speaking on behalf of the Commissioner, the Director of Produce, Mr. Yuta Umoren, warned people involved in various sharp practices to desist forthwith or face the wrath of government.
This place will close down. But now I'm giving you an instruction. I will come back for a re-inspection. If I come back and see this kind of a thing, you are going to have it hot with the state government.
He said adulteration of palm produce is dangerous to health and has negative impact on businesses.
The effect is that when you do it, Umao Benadan, mix mpokedan, mix daikedan, yaradan adat. Aya cause cancer, aya cause kidney failure, aya cause arthritis, ubiaredong. What you are mixing in palm oil in the States has a lot of health issues.
Corroborating the stance of the ministry, some of the palm dealers said they are aware of some illicit practices in some oil mills in the area and that they have been trying to put a stop to the practices, but are however relieved that the state government has stepped in and is determined to stamp out the practice.
Ndion bom na mamere be nam aronja song bende produce state produce me ndong bon de mili ba oida yang mo ga ge get sibana do enam ege te pisong e walambong edong bat e ka me mix isremi e song e se be no kono ye ka gbogbo so mboro di affect nyem monsina mbubege me agene na ro me wosi mi di on ke ma bo ismbo de ayo ma sire isbero tak.
The problem we have is Kisi Memutum, more one, more would have been nobody before Foka City. And yet, to Ayuka, I forget it, to raise out the Woka again, Tang, so much sentiment.
Federal government gives March 2024 deadline for take-off of student loan. Also, Career Choices Itam Secondary School Alumni Association advises students to shun peer pressure. This and more when we return.
The Kings of Football show will be coming to your television screens this year. Watch and hear us as we discuss all things football, the banter, the punts, and of course the predictions. Not forgetting you also stand a chance to win lots and lots of prizes, courtesy of Budweiser.
This is our home, where we all belong. The place where life is beautiful. The peaceful ambience we enjoy when we live together in unity and love. It's all man and you know. We go stand together, we go make them better. We be brothers and sisters, no matter where we be.
Football show will be coming to your television screens this year. Watch and hear us as we discuss all things football, the banter, the punts, and of course the predictions. Not forgetting you also stand a chance to win lots and lots of prizes, courtesy of Budweiser.
So glad to have you back. Secondary school students in Akwa Ibom State have been told to avoid peer pressure and other negative external influences while determining their choice of future careers. This was a submission of various speakers when the Itam Secondary School All Students Association ISOSA took its one-day workshop on career and sensitization to students in its alma mater.
Setting the tone for the workshop, the coordinator of ISOSA, Uyo Cheta, Justice Aniekan Eton, encouraged the students to take the career counseling seriously, noting that the subject combinations in their final examination will determine their future profession. Justice Eton, who spoke on the topic, embracing the legal profession, said to be a lawyer, one requires adequate knowledge of history, literature, and English.
We came here because we believe the present crop of students need to be mentored, need to be led.
Dr. Marian Osoro and all students of the school took the students on the noble profession of teaching, while Mr. Samuel Omana counseled them on opportunity in accounting.
To advise you, sensitize you, so that you have a focus, you have a career path that will help you to succeed in life.
We want the people that are brilliant to develop interest in becoming what? Teachers.
For Mr. Michael Ekong, choosing a career in engineering, which he said has 12 sectors, requires the students to have a flair for mathematics and other science subjects.
For you to become a medical doctor, there must be preparation. And the preparation starts now. You must have good attitude in the sciences. It's not for the feeble-minded.
Music is just singing and dancing and jumping, playing instruments. It is more than that.
consultant pediatrician, Dr. Merudo, spoke on the beauty of science, medicine, and pharmacy, while Professor Grace Ekon took the students on music as a profession. The principal of the school, Elder Imenka, thanked ISOSA members for taking pains to visit their alma mater to sensitize the students on different career choices. Elder Nkang said students will make maximum benefit derived from this sensitization, adding that there was need for such regular training.
We have really learned a lot from this program. They have come to enlighten us. They have come to teach us.
Some students of the school bared their minds on what they learned from the sensitization workshop.
What I've learned from this interesting program is that we should mind the way we behave, that we should not allow anyone to should not be pressurized by anyone at all, and we should avoid causing.
I've learned a lot of things, how we live in school, the activities we do. We don't want to
I'm so much happy and excited about this program. I've learned a lot about it.
For Dudokan, AKBC News.
Now we take the news on the minimum wage again. The Tripartite Committee on the National Minimum Wage has rounded up a one-day public hearing for the South-South Zone in Uyo. A cross-section of interest groups and organized labor, civil society organizations and manufacturers representatives from the private sector presented their views on the proposed minimum wage. Their views range from 2,000 naira US dollars, which is equivalent of about 3.2 million naira as the highest, to 447,000 naira as the lowest proposal. Margaret Bassi reports that the event, which was attended by labor leaders from the South-South Zone, was also graced by Akwa Ibom State government functionaries.
The Trade Union Congress of Nigeria has spent at 447,000 naira for the least worker.
That suggestion by a representative of the Trade Union Congress, TUC, Akwa Ibom State, sparked an uproar from attendees. The submission by the state chairman of NLC, Comrade Sonny James, on a new minimum wage of 850,000 naira, according to him, will add value to social cost of living per day, that is, housing and accommodation, transportation, education, etc. While other union leaders aligned, some presented specific issues bordering their sectors.
Should be 2,000 US dollars. The South Zone hereby proposes a new national minimum wage of 850,000 naira only on level 1 step 1.
That the demand of NLC as stated here should be endorsed. Let the funds of the local government be given to us to autonomy for local government. Let primary school teachers, financial body, become like the state government as it is done in other states of the federation.
Committee on salary, living wages for workers and living pension for pensioners.
Governor Moino, who was represented at the event by the Akwa Ibom State Head of Civil Service, Elder Efiongisien, thanked President Bola Tinubu for beginning the process, noting that Akwa Ibom State is up to date with the welfare of workers and the settlement of backlog of gratuity to retirees, among other welfare packages, promising to align on the outcome of the new minimum wage.
In line with the spirit and intent of the ongoing revision of the national minimum wage to provide a living wage, I wish to assure that my state, Akwa Ibom, will align and complete the outcome as usual when the input from the hearings shall have been collated, considered and enacted into an act by our legislators.
The Minister of State, FCT, Maria Mahmoud, who was the national observer at the event, stated that since the removal of fuel subsidy, the federal government has striven to improve measures to cushion the effects of economic hardship, reiterated that the outcome of the meeting will be of immense benefit to Nigerians. In an opening remark, the chairman South-South Zonal Public Hearing, Oyerinde Adewale, represented by Norum Theophilus, noted that the 37-member National Minimum Wage Tripartite Committee, constituted by President Bola Tinubu, has been tasked to ensure that the minimum wage reflects the evolving economic landscape, adequately addressing the well-being of the workforce and the ability to pay in a sustainable manner. He reiterated that the public hearing held in the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria, involving members from the government side, organized labor, and employees association, was to encourage an inclusive approach, commitments to transparency, fairness, as the opinion gathered will be a testament to a national dialogue. Among others who spoke with the secretary of the Tripartite Committee, Ekpo Nta, Chairman Akwa Ibom State Traditional Rulers Council, Odidem Bassett Medet, the head of civil service, Bayelsa State, who postulated avenues to the smooth implementation of the new national minimum wage, as well as interactive session where a concern was raised on the review of the salary structure of politicians.
I'm wondering, who are the employers of the politicians? Who determines their minimum wage? And why is their minimum wage very ever important?
For you to sustain any salary you are getting, or to increase the salary, the level of productivity must also do what? I didn't hear that. It must increase.
Margaret Bassi, EKBC News.
The federal government has set a March deadline for the definite opening of the Nigeria Education Loan Fund, NELFund, portal for eligible students. The Executive Secretary, NELFund, Dr. Akintunde Sawyer, who disclosed this while fielding questions from newsmen on Thursday in Abuja, urged eligible students to register to access the fund, adding that the recovery process from beneficiaries of the Nigeria Education Loan Scheme would commence 2 years after their National Youth Service scheme. Sawyer said that the reason for the 2-year grace after NYSC was to afford the beneficiaries enough time to get a job and be stable before the repayment. On June 12, 2023, President Bola Tinubu signed the Access to Higher Education Bill into law to enable indigent students to access interest-free loans to pursue their education in any Nigerian tertiary institution. Giving reasons for the delay in starting the scheme as earlier scheduled, Sawyer explained that the process is technically driven and necessary measures need to be put in place for proper execution. Sawyer reiterated President Tinubu's commitment to ensure that lack of finance should not be a reason for any student in Nigeria to halt education at a tertiary level. According to him, the scheme was designed for indigent Nigerian students in tertiary institutions and applications would be done online. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of Economy, Wale Edu, says 22.7 trillion naira printed by the Central Bank of Nigeria through ways and means of a draft under former President Muhammadu Buhari was responsible for the current inflation in the country. Edu stated this while briefing the Senate's Committee on Finance in Abuja on Wednesday. He noted that during the period, the printing of naira in trillions was carried out without any corresponding productive activities, and that the consequence of the 8 years of printing money without productivity is the high inflation confronting the country now. The Senate had 2 weeks ago resolved to probe the 30 trillion naira ways and means overdraft obtained and spent by the Buhari administration. Edu said rather than indulging in such money printing or seeking for avoidable loans, the President Bola Tinubu-led government is succeeding greatly in the area of revenue generation, with over 13 trillion revenue generated from the non-oil sector in 2023, adding that the trajectory is being improved upon in 2024. That's our package for tonight. But before we go, we'd like to take a look at the top stories again. The Tripartite Committee on the National Minimum Wage has rounded off a one-day public hearing for the South-South Zone in Uyo. A cross-section of interest groups and organized labor, civil society organizations, and manufacturers representatives from the private sector presented their views on the proposed minimum wage. More vistas have been opened for entrepreneurs in the state as Governor Bueno has opened discussions with the People's Republic of China towards securing trade privileges for Akwa Ibom people. This news was the outcome of interactions between Governor Bueno and the Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, Ku Jinchun, in Abuja. That's our package. Thank you for being a part of it. I am Blessing Isom. You do have a blessed night rest.